Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner calling from the DeKalb County Library System. Nothing like flubbing your line in the first 5 seconds. From the DeKalb County Library System with another program for you. And we are, by the time this comes out, we'll be in the middle of Pride Month, I believe. So I wanted to do something for that. We usually do something that has to do with the rainbow colors, and we're going to do that again today. We're going to make a necklace. It's very, very simple, very easy, and just very, very pretty and obviously colorful because it's going to be a depiction of a jewelry rainbow. So what we're going to do is make a necklace. It's going to be so simple that you will not believe it. All it's going to require is I'm using teardrop crystal beads. You don't have to use those. You can use crystal rounds, rondelles, whatever type of crystals you want. You don't even have to use crystals. But I'm using a multicolor bead, array of beads to depict my rainbow, and a chain and 20 gauge wire, lobster clasp, and a jump ring. And that's all we need for this, in addition to our regular tools of a pair of clippers, cutters, round nose pliers, and square or chain nose pliers. That's all we need for this, and a ruler so that we can measure everything out. So we're going to do this. I like to reiterate that all of this is provided for you through the DeKalb County Library Foundation. It's free to you to enjoy these tutorials, and learn from these videos as often, as many times, as long as you would like. They, from what I understand, are not going to go away. You can access them from the DeKalb County Library Facebook page, which is under facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's facebook.com/DeKalblibrary, and go to the search engine, put in Jewelry with Jen, and all of the videos that I have done for the last 3+ years will pop up, and you can have a really good time. Now, for those of you who are in the Atlanta area and are fortunate enough to be able to get to our Clarkston Library branch, or our North Lake Library branch, our Toco Hills Library branch, or our Decatur Library branch, we have free kits for you. So the kits are limited. There's a limited supply, so you might want to check and make sure that they have them in stock when you want to go get one. But again, free. Everything that you need to make your piece will be in the kit, with the exception of the tools. You will need to get your own jewelry tools to complete your piece. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get down to the other camera and make our rainbow necklace. All right, so here's what we have. We have these really pretty teardrop beads. This is what I'm using. Nice little teardrop shape. Oh, that was my phone, sorry. And we have some chain. I'm using 18 inches of chain. I would suggest I like my little links to be 3 by 4 inches at the least, so I don't have any problems stringing something through them. That's just what I like. I've had 2 by 3. It works, but it depends on the size wire that you use. You don't want to have to struggle. At least I don't want to have to struggle. And then I need a lobster clasp and a jump ring for my clasp. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And I did mention 20 gauge wire, I think. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is make my little teardrop that I'm going to hang on my chain. So this is what I'm doing. I was going to use a head pin, but I thought, why not make our own head pins again? I'm absolutely in love with the what is it? Infinity teardrop, the infinity pin that I've been making. I just love it. I think it's so cute. So we're going to do that today instead of using a plain old head pin. We're going to make our own. So the first thing we're going to do is make our head pin. And what I would suggest, those of you who get wire will have a long strand of wire, I would just leave it intact until you get ready to cut it. Instead of cutting it into pieces, you have less waste, and why not just leave it whole? That's just my thinking. But if you choose to cut it into pieces, all you need is about 2 inches of wire. You're going to need about 1/2 inch to make your little infinity bottom. You're going to need a good inch for your loop, or maybe 1.5 inches. And the teardrops that I'm using are 6 by 8. So about a little more than 1/4 inch there. So what have I got so far? 3/4 of an inch and 1.25 inches. So about 2 inches. I leave it intact because I think it's easier. Okay. All right, so let's get going. And if you use a different size bead, of course, you'll have a different size measurement. Give yourself a good inch for the top to make your loop and your wrap and do your wrap. Give yourself a good 1/2 inch here and whatever you have for your beads. That's the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is that it changes according to the size of your beads. Okay, anyway, let's get to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is make my little infinity bottom. And I'm going to bring this down really close so that you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead. This isn't cut quite flush, so I'm going to snip that off till it's nice and straight. And because that's a tiny little tip, and I don't want this to go flying across the room, I'm going to turn it down into a spool here, cut it off, and just let that little piece drop in the bottom. See, I've got all kinds of little pieces of wire sitting down there in the bottom of my spool. All right, so I'm going to take my pliers, and I just want a teeny, teeny, tiny little infinity wrap on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just grab the very tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, and it's going to slide, obviously, because I've got round pliers and round wire, and they're going to run from each other. But just hold on to the tip. You don't have to grasp it so hard that it keeps popping out, just enough so that you have it secure. So I don't want anything sticking out the back here. I want the wire right between my pliers, right there at the tip. And I'm going to make a little turn, see how it snaps out. But once I get a little turn in there, it's a little bit easier to hold on to it. And notice how I'm choking up on it with my fingers so it doesn't have far to go. So I'm just going to make little turns right there at my tip until I have a loop. To like close that up into a loop. And just keep turning, and I think I have it. Let's scoot this over a little more. I'm better centered in the camera there. So there's my first loop. And then I'm going to go down just under that loop. And again, grab the wire with the tip of my pliers. I'm going to go this way. It's a little easier to turn it. Grabbing the wire with the tip of my pliers, and I'm going to make a loop going back the other way towards the first loop. Just under that first loop, and make another loop there. And there's my little infinity sign. Straighten it out so that it looks nice and neat. Here's my little infinity ribbon. Here we go. And now I'm ready to introduce my bead. So let's slide on my bead here. And now I can go ahead and cut this off because I know I need about 1 inch up here. So I'm going to bend that back like so. You can measure out 1 inch. Cut it off. I'm just eyeballing it. Then I'm going to make a loop. Now notice I bent this back so that the infinity symbol is going side to side, and my wire is bent to the back like that. So they're going in opposite directions. This is going, we're going to say that this is the back of my infinity symbol, and this is the front, and I bent the wire towards the back. Now I'm going to slide my wire down my pliers about 1/3 of the way. I don't need too big of a loop, just enough to go through my chain. And I'm going to bring that wire over the top of my pliers and down the side of the bead. Then I'm going to rotate my pliers back. And I'm going to bring the wire under the pliers. And I'm going to leave it open. Now, I don't have much of a tail here, but I don't need much of a tail because I'm just going to wrap it around one time. I could have left it a little bit longer, probably would have been easier. That's why I like to leave my wire intact, so that when I put it on my chain, I don't have to struggle with it. Let's make that loop a little smaller. So I'm going to hold that a little tighter. There we go. Doesn't have to be very big. So I'm going to leave that like that because I need to attach it to my chain. I'm going to put that to the side, and let's do another one. Okay, grab my wire with my pliers right there on the tip. Let's make a loop. Come on, work with me here. It really doesn't want to. It's like, no, don't want to. Okay, there's my little loop. And I'm going to go under the loop and make another loop right under that one. Straighten that out a little bit. Yeah, get that a little straighter. And there's Virginia. There we go. Let's grab my bead. And I'm putting it on where the bottom of the teardrop, the largest part of the teardrop, is down here at the bottom where my infinity symbol is. So I'm going to bend my wire, cut it off. I'm going to give myself a little more wire this time. So I think I shortchanged myself last time. Yeah, that's 1 inch, and I did not give myself a full inch because I was trying to eyeball it instead of measuring it, and I shortchanged myself and ended up with a teeny, 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 tiny little tail. Measuring works. All right. Slide my wire down 1/3 of the way down my pliers. Bring the wire over the top of my pliers and down the side where my bead is. Then I'm going to open it without shifting my wire. I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to open my pliers, rotate them back, and grasp my wire again, and then bring that tail around underneath the pliers, between the pliers and the bead. And then I have my loop. And if you can see I have a little space there, or it's a little off to the side. That's easily correctable. just roll your wire until it's sitting where you want it. And there's my loop. Let's do one more. And what I'm doing, that's not cut flush. Let's do that again. See, it's that little end is off at an angle. So let's cut that nice and straight. Very good. I like that much better. And let's grab that tip. While I'm doing this, you've already heard this spiel, so I'm going to talk about something else. So I'm doing 13 beads because I find that when I make my necklace, if I have an odd number, I think it hangs prettier. It gives me a centerpiece. And that middle bead, the odd bead in the middle, gives it kind of a better drape. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using 13. You can use 15. You can use 11. Everybody who gets a kit is going to have 13 in there. I hope I was on camera. I was just chitter chattering away. I'm glad I've already done it twice. Here's my other infinity. Make sure it's nice and straight. See how much extra wire I had? Virginia. Fortunately, it's enough that I can do something with it. Okay. Make my little bend. And I'm going to leave that on there because I want to show you how much easier it is when you have a long tail. You don't have to cut it off. You can leave it on there, and then you can really easily work with that tail instead of a teeny tiny piece. And then you can cut it off after you've done what you need to do. There. Off. And just leave enough to wrap. All right, so now I have all my little teardrops ready for my chain. The next thing I'm going to do is apply them to my chain. So I have 18 inches of chain here, and that's what you're going to get in your kits. It doesn't have to be too long. This is kind of a delicate piece, so if it hangs too long, well, no, I think it can hang along and be just fine. But we're doing 18 inches. Now the thing here is to decide how you want your rainbow. And I'm going to make mine progressively. I'm going to go with colors. And that's how I'm going to determine what my rainbow looks like. Wow, that's a really long piece of wire. When I did these, I used little pieces of wire like this that I had left over. I just used those to put on here. And that's why you save your little bits of wire. All right, so I'm going to go, you just want to decide how you want your rainbow to go, how you want your colors to go. So let's see, I think I'm going to start with this pretty topaz color. Or should I start with the yellow? The design part is always the intricate part. That's what takes the longest in all of my classes. Everybody putting their design together. Sometimes I have to put them on a timer and say, okay, design part is over. It's time to be putting things on your chain or on your wire or making your piece, whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to go there. Yeah, let's go with some green. Let's hit the turquoise and teal colors. Let's put you first. And let's go with some purple. Some mauve. And I missed a blue, didn't I? get you here. Does that look good? Yeah. And then let's go to our reds. I think that's, yes, I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's switch this around. What does that look like? Does that look good? I think so. Let me see something here. Okay, I'm flipping things all around here. I'm trying to decide if I want to move the red. This is a really dark red. I think this is good. That looks like a rainbow, doesn't it? What do you think? Let's do it. All right. So now I'm going to put everything on the chain. Now I am going to start in the center and work my way out to the left and the right, because I think that just works easier than trying to work from side to side. It's kind of hard to determine where to start if you do that. So I'm going to find the center of my chain, which is right here. And the way you can do it is just hold it up. I'm going to take one of these pieces of wire that I had left, and I'm going to hold it up and see. Yes, because it looks like I have an even number of links. So if I move it over one, I think it's going to be one link longer on the other side. So it may not matter. Oh, I'm back here. Let's move it over one link on the other side here. So yeah, just hang it from, I'm hanging, oh, I have the camera down so low you can't see, but I was just grasping the center loop and just hold it up. Until you can find your center. So it looks like I can go over one link. Let's see what I have. Yeah, I have an even number of links down here. So it's going to be one link long on one side, which does not bother me at all. So here's my center link. And that's where I'm going to put my first bead. Now, I have 13, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is my lucky up 6 and 6. So this is my lucky center bead. So that is going to go on first. And this is my little pattern here. So I'm going to put this bead on first. And the thing that I need to do is take my little marker out and slide my the tail of my wire into my center bead, into my center loop, just like that. Just slide that loop down the wire and into the loop of my wrap. Here we go. So that's right inside there. And now I'm going to wrap this wire so that it's secure on my chain. And to do that, I'm going to grab my square pliers, and I'm going to just wrap that tail of wire around whatever number of times you want. I'm going to go around 1.5 times because that's plenty. I just want to secure it on my chain. Actually, I think I'll go a full 2 because I have a little space in there that I want to fill in. Then I'm going to clip off that little end piece. Hold on to it so it doesn't fly away from me. And then I'm going to push that little end of my wire down so that it doesn't snag on anything. Push it nice and close to my bead. Be careful, this is a crystal. I don't want to crack my crystal. So just be very careful. Get that nicely down there. So there's my first little dangle. And so what I'm going to do is skip a link for each additional one that I put on. So the next one I'm going to put on will be this guy right here because it's the next closest to this color. So I'm going to skip a link and slide my wire into the link that's next to the open link. Okay, just slide that down in there until the chain rests inside my wire link. Open it up a little bit. Okay, I lost it. Skipping one of my links. You see this? Let me bring this down a little more. So there's my center loop. I'm going to skip the next loop and I'm going to go to the link afterwards, after that one. I just want one open link in between each of my beads so that the beads aren't too close together and they don't clash with each other. And I'm going to slide my chain loop down into the loop of my wire. And let's close it up. Hold on to it with my pliers and wrap the wire between the pliers and the top of my bead. And when I get the number of wraps that I want, I can cut off the tail. And if you don't need to cut off the tail, you can just wrap the rest of it around there and push down the end, which is what I believe I am going to do. Nice and snug. Okay, let's go to my next one. Again, I'm skipping a link. There's the link that this one's on. I'm going to skip that link that's next to it and go to the one beside it. Let's open that up a little bit. Slide it on my little loop. Really giving me fits here. Skip one, go to the next. And slide that chain down into the wire loop. And wrap. Okay. cut off that end. And down that tip. Okay, and here's what we have so far. This is my center, and we're going off to the left. Let's go to the right a little bit. Let's put this next blue one on. I promise I'm not going to make you watch me put all of these on, but I want to make sure that you have a good idea of how it works. And then I'll do the rest of them off camera. Okay, so I'm skipping the next link, sliding on tail of my wire onto my chain, let the chain loop drop into the wire loop, grasp my wire with my pliers, grasping that loop, and then wrap the wire around between the pliers and the bead as many times as your little heart desires. See that tiny, tiny little tail. So I'm going to use my other pliers. Wrap that last little bit around. See, this is what I mean by leaving your wire intact so that you don't have as much waste. Because I don't have to cut much off, which I really, really enjoy and appreciate. Down there. Some tight. There we go. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Here's my little center right there. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish these off camera. And then when I come back, you'll be able to see what the design looks like. Be right back. Okay, here we go. Here it is. And I'm not going to lie to you. It took a second for you to see that, but it took me a good 20 minutes to put these on. So just be aware of that. It's a little bit of a project. It's probably going to take you at least 30, 35 minutes to put this together. It's very easy, very repetitive, but it does take a little bit of time. But really, you can get this done in well under an hour. So let's go ahead and finish it off. And now all we need to do is attach our clasp. So I only have one jump ring here. I need two jump rings, Virginia. Where's your other jump ring? Let's grab one over here. All right, because I need a jump ring to attach my lobster clasp and another jump ring for my lobster clasp to attach to you. So here we go. Boop. Now, I always like to show you the proper way to open your jump ring, and that's very simple. There's a couple of ways, several ways. You can either find your little opening and get over here. You can either find the little opening, which is right there, and twist it with your fingers. This is kind of small, so I'm not going to try that. Or you can take your pliers, put one pair of pliers on one side of the opening, which is right there, another pair of pliers on the other side of the opening, and twist until it's open. That way, when you put it, when you attach it, all you have to do is twist it back. And it's still perfectly round. And then just make whatever adjustments that you need. Or the third way is to take a pair of pliers, put it on one side of the opening, and push down with your thumb. And then all you have to do is push it back up to close. So let's go ahead and grab my jump ring. I'm going to grab my lobster clasp. I'm going to slide my the small ring of my lobster clasp inside my jump ring, and I'm going to grab one end of my chain, and I'm going to slide my jump ring or the last loop of my chain onto the jump ring with the lobster clasp, and then I'm going to close my ring. And once I get it closed, I'm going to make whatever adjustments I need to make in order to make sure these little ends are flush together. You want them to be perfectly aligned. And there I go. So there's one side, and the other side is going to be what attaches to my lobster clasp. So I'm going to grab my other jump ring, slide the last link of my chain on the jump ring, close it, boop, adjust it so that the ends are perfectly together. No openings in there. Nice and close. And there we have it. Open my jump ring, open my lobster clasp, slide it on my jump ring. And there's my necklace. Isn't that pretty? Ah, I love it. Let's put it on the display. There it is. There's a rainbow necklace. Isn't that pretty? I really like this. And it's so lightweight and so easy to make. It's a lot of repetition. You just make your little infinity head pins, put the bead on there, attach it to your chain, put your lobster clasp on and your jump ring, attach it, and you, my friends, have a lovely little necklace. It probably takes a good 35 to 40 minutes to do, but that's about it. No biggie. And just think, you can make a bunch of these. We'll have one around. Oh, I should have put it on because I could have worn it with this. Should I put it on? Nah. I think I've wasted enough of your time, or given you enough of my time, I guess I should say. These are cute. I love it when these don't take too long, because I feel like you don't have to rearrange your whole day in order to make a pretty piece of jewelry, and you really don't. So anyway, this is our nod to Pride Month. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you will let me know if you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll make one, because I always like to see your interpretation of what I make. So if you get a chance, drop me a line at, I didn't mention this before, did I? Drop me a line at jewelrygen20 jewelrygin20 That's JEWELRYGIN20 and send me a picture. Let me see a picture of what you made. I would love to see it. I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback, good and bad, so that I can improve if I need if I need to do something that makes these tutorials work better for you. Also, there's the DeKalb County Library Facebook page. That's facebook.com/DEKALBLIBRARY. And just go to the search engine, put Jewelry with Jen, and all of the videos that I have done over the last 3 years will come up, including this one. Go to the Clarkston, North Lake Toco Hills or Decatur Branch Library to get a free kit. And I hope to see you again soon, or should I say, I hope you'll see me again soon. So until then, have a good week, have a great weekend, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.